Before coming to US also, I had like seen lots and lots of transitions in my life. In terms of GRE, the preparation and roadmap starts usually from the book called GRE, Cons and Verbal, and then the other thing is SS. All those three sections requires like high intensive practice. You should be skilled enough and smart enough to know like what exactly your roadmaps should be, like what exactly you need to practice and learn in your SOP. Like you have to be very specific about the things, let's say about the program which you intend to do. When it comes to selecting universities, you need to have three things to keep in mind. I know a lot of Gen Z people are like chat gpt experts, and don't use chat gpt. The more you will put your words and your feelings into the SOP, the more narrative it would sound. Other thing for LOR is like always get the letterhead of your college and then try to put that in that letterhead and get it officially stamped, signed and sealed by university. Visa interview is like the tough time in any student's life, and नानी आ जाती है, भगवान सब याद आ जाते हैं students को. It's a 2 years journey, so like a lot of things you would have to go through. But once you finish off your education and you get a good job, you can start paying off your education loans easily. I would like to and give you some good feedback and tips which I have learned in my journey. The very first thing is like firstly, I would like to thank you and your team for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share my amazing experience. Like, it's not just only an experience, but it's like a full 360 life cycle journey for me, from where I was in my bachelor's and then how I completed a master's degree. And after completing my master's degree, what has been my journey in the professional environment as well. So, first of all, namaste everyone, namaskaram. I am thankful and grateful to you guys that like you are able to see this journey of mine, and hopefully one day you can also take what were the challenges which we faced and how you could overcome this. So I really want to give this particular talk session for like 30 minutes or whatever the time it is, so that like you guys can learn each and every piece in bits and pieces. At the same time, you should know what exactly you want to do and how you could achieve that. So my journey has been in US like more of a roller coaster ride. I have seen both the zenith and nadir. You mean in normal words, we could say ups and downs. So I came here in 2019 spring. That was like the time where that was like a peak of a winter in January, and Boston, where I'm currently situated, welcomed me with the snow. That was the very first time I looked at the snow. As far as educational and academic things are concerned, I pursued my master's degree from Northeastern University. I graduated in 2021 with the master's in information systems. And after that, I got a full time job in a very good company. But it was not a FANG company, but yeah, was one of the best leading open source provider company. And that I worked for like close to 2.5 years now. And right before coming to US also, I had like seen lots and lots of transitions in my life. I was a very good student. At the same time, like along with studies, I also used to be on other extracurricular activities as well. I was more leading a student committee in my undergrad college. At the same time, I was also doing various other initiatives for GRE, as well as working on couple of side hustles as well. It was not like more of a startup, but then obviously like I had multiple initiatives at that time going on. But whatever like I learned in this journey so far, everything has helped me. So just to give a heads up now, many of the students who are already in their third year or fourth year of their undergrad, they would be soon starting to appear for GRE exams or even the English proficiency test. So first of all, I would like to give you a heads up that many of the colleges like have started to make the mandatory requirement of giving the GRE test. So GRE would be mandatory in some universities now again. Back in the days of COVID, those GRE exams used to get waived off, but now many universities have again make this mandatory to appear for the GRE exam, and those results of GRE will be counted as a part of your application. So in terms of GRE, the preparation and roadmap starts usually from the book called Word Power Made Easy. You can take a note of it. Word Power Made Easy. So this book helps you actually go into the grassroots levels of like how you could actually start learn the roots of the English word, how those words got actually into the dictionary, if you like read that book, it will take like almost more 2 weeks to read this book. Like you can just read like 1 page or 5 pages a day. And I actually started preparing for GRE. That was like more of a prerequisite. Even if like you don't want to read that book, that's completely fine. So once you have read that book, or even if you don't, like, but you should be starting to bifurcate, like, what exactly would be the required steps. So the number one step would be, before starting GRE, would be just giving the GRE practice test. So there is a website called ETS, which is actually the official examiner provider of GRE. In that, like, you can get free practice test. So even before starting to practice for GRE, I would highly recommend give that practice test in those ETS websites. So that will actually help you find out where you are in your level of what kind of mathematics, like the quant requirement which you'll require, what is like the engagement of verbal words which you'll need to practice. So GRE, quants and verbal, and then the other thing is SS. All those three sections requires like high intensive practice, but then you should be skilled enough and smart enough to know like what exactly your roadmaps should be, like what exactly you need to practice and learn. So being from a diploma college in my undergrad, I was not a great mathematic student, but I had to struggle a lot in mathematics. So I try to focus more on quants. And similarly, like we are like from a country India where English is like not our mother language or like a very first spoken language, so it's always difficult for us to actually cope up with the new English words. So when I was in Mumbai, and I used to go to college every day, I used to like learn some English words, at least 10 to 15 words, either through GRE words. There are like many apps which you could find on the Play Store or App Store. So there's like the basics which you need to start. And then once you have mastered those words, you can start learning new things. So then you can also start giving some practice tests. So in those practice tests also, like you can give 10 questions a day, maybe for quants. I went to a GRE class in India. So like they taught me quants, they taught me verbal, and even like they made me do essay writing. So the fees for that was like close to 25,000 INR during those like 8 years ago. Now I don't know what would be like the exact fees, but classes will definitely help you a lot. But then obviously like going to classes is not sufficient. You will have to practice each and every day. And then if you are like not a good student in terms of grasping new things, and if you're not practicing new things on daily basis, then you can find it little bit struggleful. And I'm not saying not everyone will be in the same boat, but it all upon different students, what are their learning capabilities. And every student has their own pace and own power to learn different things. So highly recommend like you should start assessing yourself when you are in the second year. And then if you have a strong and rigid determination that like you want to pursue master's degree from US or UK, Canada, etc., wherever or whichever part of the globe, then start working on those things from second, third year itself. So like during my time, I gave GRE when my final year was about to start. So that was in my second last semester. Here we usually call like the September intake to December is called fall. In India, like we don't have that intake terms. So if you are planning to appear for GRE, then start giving in that preparation time should be your second year, third year, and appearing for the GRE should be during August month, September month, or even before that, because most of the admits and deadlines of the universities will be in the month of October till March. So highly recommend that like you should appear for GRE first, and then you should appear for the English proficiency test. So there are two things, the two main considerations for this. The number one thing is GRE score is valid for 5 years, while English proficiency score is only valid for 2 years. So like only appear for English proficiency test when you are ready and you are satisfied with the GRE score. So here is one tidbit which I wanted to give you with my GRE thing. So back in 2016, when I appeared for GRE, I didn't had a great GRE score. It was close to 290, and I felt like unsatisfied at that moment. And I felt that like my journey and my hard work is about to get crushed at that moment. There could have been several universities where I could have appeared, but when I was looking at my classmates' score, they used to get like scores about 300, 315, and plus, and those were like really brilliant students as well. I was like always like a mediocre student who was like more of an all-rounder and always wanted to like put my hands in all the buckets. Like I was jack of all the trades. But at that time, due to my GRE score, I made a decision that maybe right now it's not a good time. And most of my parents' money just got wasted in those things only, like appearing for GRE, etc. So here is what like I want you to understand, that even if you don't get a GRE score, it's okay. Like you can always appear next year. And exactly that happened with me. I gave my GRE again 2 years in 2018, and I gave my exam in July of 2018. And in August, I was all set with my admits and everything. So I came to US in spring 2019 intake. So at that time, everything happened smoothly. But here is again like another wistful thing. My GRE score was again the same. So after again 2 years of preparation, uh, 2 years of like full hard work, everything, I got the same score. But then obviously those 2 years of perseverance and patience taught me many things which was helpful for me in my US journey. And I could accelerate and scale faster in terms of my other counterparts, not just in terms of learning, but about like pitching myself in the US industry, or like how to get those kind of traction. I know like this would be like more of a movie sequel or some kind of story, but obviously like everyone knows like GRE, like you can go to this website, you can learn Magosh, you can do verbal test from this website, but moreover the experience of someone, or like your experience would actually matter a lot rather than studying. But yeah, again back to the study part. So if you want to know and understand like in the details for quants, usually like I prepare from Magosh. So Magosh has really great practice sets and questions for each and every chapter. Other thing for verbal, what I done was like I was learning it from those Magosh and other websites only, and then like I downloaded 6 practice questions. Nowadays, like many, there are thousands of apps, thousands of curriculums, but then one thing which I learned was from Magosh, and like there are multiple other books which you can refer to. And uh, coming, this is like 6 years journey, I've seen like lots and lots of students who have been like wandering with different platforms, online classes, etc. But the basics are like the books, like the books from Magosh, the ETS books, etc. So try to invest in those books and try to practice as much as possible. In terms of preparation, obviously essay is something that like we have been doing from our school days, but the GRE essay requirements are a little bit different. In terms of like you need to have 4 paragraphs. The very first paragraph has to be the introduction, and then the last paragraph is like more of a conclusion. Then like you can have two arguments either for or against. So I usually used to go as a plaintiff, and I always used to go for the for section, and I never bother to be like going for the AMA sections in for against. The main thing is like if you are taking a side, it's become the your situation you are thinking goes same. So for every essay which I practiced and I try to write down in the practice test also, I always use taking one side either for or either against. So most of the time like I always used to go for the for side of the things. Then it that way like you can actually start thinking your ability. For quants preparation, as I already mentioned that like you need to like practice from those books. Other thing, when it comes to giving the exam in GRE, first thing you have to give either essay section. So you will have to write two long essay of 25-27 minutes each, and then 3-4 minutes for reviewing. Make sure that like you don't have grammatical errors, because in the exam like you will not be able to see those red underlined words and like any kind of grammatical errors. And try to have 10-15 good GRE words in your mind, so that like you can either repeat those same words, five here, five in that section, so that your chances of getting 3.5 score or 4 score should be easier. Second thing, after writing your essay, you will be having 4 sections: one for quant, one for verbal, or maybe like one more section would be just like a section, just like a tester section. So in those, again, the sequence could be anything. Like you can have verbal first, you can have quant first, but most of the time it's, I guess, verbal first. So you will have to start giving those so the GRE is more of a pattern based exam. So like if your first section doesn't go well, then your next section could be again slightly interdependent on that. So if your first section goes really good and like you crack really good answers, then the length of the con section or the next verbal section would be again like slightly raising above the bar. So keep in mind for that. And the sections would be easy, or it could be hard, or it could be moderate. It all depends upon your performance. So don't panic if you don't get right answer. Whatever is going to happen in the exam is going to happen in the exam, and there is like never a full stop after GRE. So when it comes to like the preparation or like being in the exam mindset, keep in mind that most of the time con section would be like all those things academic, what we have done either in your undergrad, in your curriculum, and like those probability stats questions. So try to work on those things. Other things like try to give the easy answers first. So if you feel that like if you are able to solve some trigonometry or geometric questions first, then go for it. If you think like you will have hard time in like learning arithmetic questions or logarithmic questions, so try to keep that at the end, so that like you can focus more time on the right answers. So in terms of quant, I would have like two options for you guys, which I use those two strategies. First, I gave away the easy score things. Like I was good with the geometry questions, so like I solved them pretty easily and fast. I used to get stuck in the arithmetic and logarithmic types of questions, so I used to take some time. So my strategy was like just giving the easy questions first and then working on hard questions. And this is like a rule of thumb as well. So like if you keep investing your time during the exam for hard questions, then you will can also left out and miss out on the easy questions. So try to give the questions which you feel like would be more comfortable easily. And in GRE exam, like you can always scroll through different questions altogether. So once you get your section, you can scroll down the list of questions and then you can figure out like the best time. So the question exam time is like usually 30 to 35 minutes. So try to have, and there would be 20 questions, so try to have like 1 or 1.5 minutes saved for each and every question. But then obviously like sometimes you could end up spending 3 minutes also, or more than 3 minutes. So like if you're spending more than 2 minutes for a question, then I would say just skip that question and go to the next question. I was good at cons, but my verbal was like again everyone also have this similar kind of problem. So I used to like attempt the questions of comprehensions first, and then the word guessing. So like what would be the exact synonyms. So I always used to, and then like I used to go for other type of questions. So in verbal also, like there will be three type of set of questions. The one would be like reading the paragraph and answering that. So sometimes reading the paragraph questions could be easy, and sometimes if the paragraph is like four paragraphs questions, then it could be little bit tricky also. So try to attempt those things accordingly. So I was good at the synonym guessing, whether it would go right or whether it could go wrong. I always used to attempt those questions, and that way like I could save more time for reading the paragraph, understanding the flow of the paragraph, and try to answer the questions accordingly. I don't know what would be the number of questions now. I don't remember like what would be the number of questions which would be asked for paragraphs, number of questions for the word guessing, synonyms guessing, and then other type. So it would be like out of 20 questions, 5, 7, 8 would be like that would be the flow of questions. Once you have learned and prepare for GRE, English proficiency tests are not that challenging. But trust me, sometimes this could also get messed up if you don't prepare the way like you prepared for GRE. GRE is exhausting, I know, but English proficiency tests like IELTS, TOEFL, and nowadays they also have a Duolingo, which is like newly accepted English proficiency test in USA. I can speak more about IELTS and TOEFL. I haven't given Duolingo, or like but I know multiple people who have appeared for Duolingo and they have got good grades in Duolingo. So when it comes to preparation for English proficiency test like IELTS or TOEFL, the very first thing is like you need to understand the sections. So, like in GRE, you focus more on cons, verbal, which is more of analytical based thinking. Here, English proficiency test you for first writing, listening, reading, and then understanding. So those are like the four things which they will ask you. So every section has different way of preparation, and the approach is pretty simple. You have to take one session at a time. So usually in IELTS, like you have to speak in front of an examiner. So that is sometimes easy for people to just interact and speak in front of a human rather than like speaking in front of a computer. The reading materials, everything is available online. So once you book your test with the IELTS, they will send the British Council, and there are various other providers, but I took my IELTS test with British Council, and they provided me with a booklet and a preparation guide. So I just followed that, and at the same time I was also working from YouTube, and I was looking at like those big YouTubers who have like their classes and everything online, and like they just have some free videos. You can learn a lot from them as well. First thing for preparation of IELTS is like you need to have at least a bandwidth of 1 month or 2 month. I had like a hard time because my deadlines were approaching, so I just gave it in 15 days only. But because I had prepared thoroughly for GRE, I was in a state of mind that where I could give IELTS comfortably. But I would ask not anyone to take such risk. It could go here and there also if you don't do thorough preparation for 2 hours daily. And in each and every section you will have like in reading section you will have like 30 minutes. For every section you will have to go through different set of questions. For reading also, like you will have to read paragraph and then have multiple choice questions to answer. Speaking, as I told, like you will have to speak in front of an examiner. There are like various approaches. For writing also, like you will have to write an essay, and you can also use for or against kind of plenty for different approach for that. So those were like my preparation roadmap for IELTS. IELTS or TOEFL, any one exam if you have to choose. I preferred IELTS because it was comparatively easier, and in US every university accepts IELTS, so it's not big of an issue. Sometimes your IELTS score, you have to send up to 4 universities. It is allowed. You can send it to any 4 universities of your choice. So like I was more determined for Northeastern University based on my GRE score, and so I sent my score from IELTS to Northeastern and other university. Like in TOEFL also, like you can send your TOEFL score in advance or like after the exam. But also like there are multiple charges to send your IELTS score and official GRE score. So that is like a secondary thing once you're done with the exam. But keep a note of this thing as well. Yeah, this is a very good question for students, let's say, who are working professionals and not able to like get a time on their weekends, or as well as like students who are having multiple commitments during their undergrad years. So the first thing, you should have a roadmaps and strategies plan that how you could invest your time in learning and preparation, because it's just like you cannot just appear for a GRE exam and you can get good grades. And obviously there are exceptions, but for any student, like you will have to spend like at least 1 hour, 2 hour on daily basis before your exam approaches. And sometimes when you are giving for exam, let's say like if your exam is like in the month of August, then you should start appearing for practice tests in the month of July. So like you can give one practice test a day, and each practice test can go up to 4 hours. So like you have to have that kind of mindset where you are able to sit for 4 hours and then you are able to give such test. I know it's not an easy task, but like you have to go through and grind through that kind of mindset so that like you are able to get good grades, and at the same time you are able to be in that mindset where you could easily give the exam. Sometimes I have seen some testimonials from friends that like because in the GRE exam hall, like if due to like the ACs being so cold, were not able to focus. So I always recommend having some kind of jacket so that like you can protect yourself from the cold ACs during the exam. Other thing which I would like to give focus on the study material is like Magosh or everyone has like a very good exam book. So that comes with like some practice test also. There are like some easily cracked available exam tests on online also, and you can refer them. I cannot obviously name them. You guys are smart enough to figure out which one I'll be talking about. And there are other materials like study guides, like you can also go through some books. So books which is available from ETS, Mogush, etc. So like you may want to learn from theirs as well. So they have like good 20-25 questions which will give you a high impetus of what the exam questions would be. And like you can get some kind of awareness like what kind of questions which will be asked. So it would not be the same questions, but the questions would be similar what you can expect during the exam. Definitely, the very first thing would be like your GRE score and your overall profile. So students are often required to submit an SOP. In your SOP, like you have to be very, very specific about the things. Let's say about the program which you intend to do. So my major in my undergrad college was information technology, and in Northeastern it was information systems. So I knew like what exactly I wanted to pursue. And in SOP, I also mentioned about my certifications, my publications, so that supplemented my overall profile. And what I was apprehensive about my low GRE score, but then it stood out that because like there are things which I had in my profile, no other person would have that in their profile. So that actually gave me like much more boost in my overall application process. So students, if you think that like your GRE score is either too great or like you don't have that kind of GRE score for an Ivy League, try to showcase like some of the extraordinary achievements in your SOP or in your application, so that like you can stand a good chance. Obviously, like not everyone is going to get a admit, like let's say in universities like Harvard, MIT, or any Ivy League colleges, despite like having a very good GRE score or very good English proficiency score. GRE score is just like one such thing, but it is like the main requirement nowadays. I'm not sure like if many universities are still waiving of GRE or not, but you can try to use your application. First thing is your GRE, second thing is your English proficiency test. Then you should have a very good resume, where you are like showing your kind of academic projects, your some of the extracurricular activities. The templates and everything are available online now. When it comes to selecting universities, you need to have three things to kept in mind. The very first thing is like what are the safe universities for you. Then that sense like based on your GRE score, SOP, LOR, and your English profession, you can easily get into these universities. Like you feel that like you can get those. Then there are moderate universities. Moderate universities are those that you can expect admit from that, but then you might not want to consider those universities. And ambitious universities are like Sone Pe Suhaga. If you get into those universities, it's lucky, you are fortunate enough. So, how many universities one should apply? I would recommend 10 universities. At my time, I had applied only for 7 universities and I got admits from 4 universities. But I was lucky enough that like I got the university admit from Northeastern, and Northeastern was like one of my top priority. Obviously, for my classmates and various of my seniors, it was just like a safe university. But based on my profile, I it was like an ambitious university for me, and I got the admit there. So I'm grateful enough. But obviously, after getting the admit and like after giving the GR, it doesn't matter. What it matters like how you project yourself in US and how you could actually use your skills to get like a good job or get a good industry based connections and requirements. Number one tip, I know a lot of Gen Z people are like chat GPT experts, and don't use chat GPT. The more you will put your words and your feelings into the SOP, the more narrative it would sound. And I have seen like students nowadays using like chat GPT. They could literally build their SOPs in like 2 minutes, or but it will not yield you fruitful result, even though it would sound like a very good English based paragraph, but it would not have your feelings in mind. So first thing, don't use chat gpt, try to put in your words, and then like you can always revamp those words using like some of the English translators. And obviously like you can use grammarly and other AI assistants for those things, but never use chat gpt, right? In SOP and LOR, as both other things, like you have to write and showcase about yourself. So it is like you and your journey so far and what you actually want to do in your future. So those has to be put into the words in 3 to 4 paragraphs. The ideal length of SOP should be between 500 to 800 words, and it should have like 6 to 7 paragraphs. And the very first paragraph is just like a small introduction about you. Second paragraph, you can share about your academic journey. Third to fourth paragraph, you can also share about professional journey. If someone doesn't have a professional journey, then the student can actually write paragraph 3 and 4 in a quantitative way, such that like they can show some of their extracurricular activities. What then the fifth paragraph, that would be like how you actually got interested into this field. The sixth and the seventh paragraph should be more of a conclusion, that like you want to work under this professor, you want to learn from this particular professor, what their projects, their industry experience and affiliations actually got you more inclined toward this program. Most of the time students like me or like you, I know, would be having one SOP only, and they would just change the name of the universities and the name of the professors. I did the same thing too. You guys can also do the same thing, but try to have something extraordinary about yourself in the SOP. And the second thing, when you are writing the name of that college in the SOP, try to also include two three good points about the. So let's say Northeastern has a good co-op curriculum program, and Northeastern's co-op program is like number one in US. So I also put that two three lines about the co-op program, and I mentioned like what I could achieve, even though in regular life I didn't mean to do that. But you can always show that, so you can actually have some more tangible touch points in your SOPs. Now when it comes to LOR, I know most of the time students will be having a hard time going back and forth with the professor. So try to make good relations with your professors now. This is the time, because you will have to have good recommendations uh, from your professors. In LORs also, like you can just mention in a third person format. Remember, like LOR is something that like your professor is writing about you. So it should not be in your first person format. In LORs, try to mention about things which you had, let's say you taken this course with your professor. So what this course actually helped you, and how that course actually helped you to decide this particular project or this particular thing would be helpful for you in that future course. So try to highlight those things in three good paragraphs. So again, first paragraph is just the introduction, second paragraph is like more about you and like the things, third paragraph is more about conclusion. And other thing for LOR is like always get the letterhead of your college, and then try to put that in that letterhead and get it officially stamped, signed, and sealed by university. Because again, universities do require an official stamp on the LOR. Same goes for transcripts also. So the very first thing that like you will now need to have their signatures in your LOR. So how much time like you have given any troubles to your professors, this is the time to make it up for that. So also some professors would be understanding and would be understanding enough to give you like the signatures, and like you would have to just compile the SOP LOR, sorry, LORs by yourself, and they would just read it and they give you the signatures. Some professors will give you a hard time and run for the money. What are the troubles which you would have given for to your professors? This is the time they will try to get not revenge, but they will try to give you like a run for your signatures. And they will try to make everything to get the possible things out of you, in terms of like making you run for these things, signatures here and there. So this like that's why it's recommended enough, or it's good to have good relationships with your professors, so that like you can actually get the things done in the right amount of time. Because many times when it comes to LOR, the professors have to create their own account in the university portal of the respective universities, and they have to submit their LORs from their end. Visa interview is like the tough time in any student's life, and eh, नानी याद आती है, भगवान सब याद आ जाते हैं students को, to be honest. But when it comes to preparation, the very first thing you should keep in mind are the three objectives what visa officer will look for in a student's overall profile, and like the way they are answering the questions. So first objective is like time ties to your home country. So like the visa officers want to know like if you would like to go back to your home country, will like you will not be overstaying after your time with the masters and the OPT or STEM OPT period if it's a STEM program. Second thing, how strong are your finances? And obviously most of the time students get rejected because they don't have good finances to showcase, and the visa officers feels that like this educational burden could impact their current well-being of a student's life. Third thing would be like your good academics, and what are your objectives in your academics. So many a time students tell like in this university this is like the core program, or these are the professors they would like to work with. So all those points like acts as a brownie points for you. Visa interview preparation, obviously it takes like around 2 to 3 days at least before the interview, but I would say start giving 3 to 4 mock interviews. Maybe you can practice online for free also. There are nowadays like there are various sites and tutorials available, and you can always reach out to me on my LinkedIn. I cannot explicitly mention here. Then other things which you would want to do is like start preparing some common questions like what is your GRE score, why this university, what factors led you to this. Then when it comes to about your finances, how are you going to support your education, have you taken any education loan or not, what does your parents do, what are their things, what are like the other things. Then when it comes to ties to your home countries, what are your long term plans, ambitions, what you would like to achieve in your future. So those are the basic questions which visa officers ask you. And obviously your visa interview would be done like in less than a minute. For me there were like just 3 to 4 questions, and it was done in 15-20 seconds. I could not even like get to know when was my visa interview was done. But obviously like everything in your US journey requires a lot of preparations. So the more robust in your preparation, the easier it is for you to go, and everything would be streamlined. Like a student would not be able to build a strong financial profile, but what they could do is like take loans from any kind of Indian banks or NBFCs or even international providers. So Indian banks, they usually don't give the loans based, they always require collateral and a co-signer. For my parents, getting a loan of 1 crore for me and my sister together, because we are both flying in the same intake, so any Indian bank could not give a 1 crore loan to a middle class Indian family. So for us, Prodigy Finance, institution, helped to be a boon for us. In comes to taking the education loan, keep in mind that like what is the interest rate, what is the APR rate, and how much would be like any kind of additional miscellaneous costs. Sometimes companies do ask you to pay like for like any prepayment, or what would be the loan amount for that. Interest rates keep on compiling. There would be simple interest for 2 years. Also keep in mind what is the grace period. So once your master's degree completes after 2 years, you will have 6 months of grace period. So after that your education loan would start. So also ask them like for the grace periods time. So these are the factors you need to consider. Most of the Indian banks would have loans ranging, the interest rate on loans ranging from 8 to 10 or 14%. So that also, like for any in collateral based, the loan rate would, the interest rate would be lower, and non collateral would be on slightly higher rates. So obviously like any Indian bank would be giving you for like, but you also have to think of your financial freedom of your parents stability as well, because you are keeping your house on mortgage or any other things on mortgage. And let's say if anything happens in USA, then there are always things and complications. Obviously like it's a 2 years journey, so like a lot of things you would have to go through. But once you finish off your education and you get a good job, you can start paying off your education loans easily, provided you have enough savings. Coming to US, or like before coming to US, it's like also a journey 2 years before your masters and 2 years during your masters, and like a journey of a lifetime till the point you get your H1B green card. But in each and every phase, try to get the most out of it. So if you don't have a good GRE score, just accept yourself, try to work if you want to give GRE. That's what happened to me as well. I couldn't get a good GRE score in the first attempt, so I gave it a second time after 2 years. Even though I got this same score, it didn't matter to me. But by that time, I built like a good profile with a good work ex, and I was able to pay off my things for GRE fees, college admission fees based on my salary, which I used to get while I was working in India. So first thing, always like try to accept yourself and try to perceive and have patience in you. That's what like I learned in those 2 years while I was working in India. Second thing, try to reach out to seniors from the integrated university. Try to reach out on everyone, students who have like been to these colleges, like who are already your seniors. Try to seek help from them, try to learn and understand from them. Third thing, try to use LinkedIn as much as possible, because if you start building strong connections from now, it would be helpful for you, because once you will come to US, you'll have to start looking for jobs, etc., internship opportunities. So I would like to and give you some good feedback and tips which I have learned in my journey. The very first thing is like keep persevering and have patience in life. For me, I couldn't get a good GRE score in my first attempt when I was in my undergrad college. But and again, when I gave the GRE after 2 years, I got the same score. But at the same time, in those 2 years, I did had like a lot of perseverance, hard work, and patience. And that actually taught me some of the good things, which the things and the knowledge which I learned. I was able to scale quickly while I was in here in USA while doing my master's degree. And in my class or whether in my college, I was able to like lead, organize, and in terms of my counterpart, I was able to deliver more things quickly rather than like like investing my time in learning new things. Obviously there are some things which are outside of your curriculum, then those are the soft skills which help you a lot in USA. If you are coming to US, don't come with a mindset of an engineer like in India, like okay, we are here to come. You also need to be like street smart. You also need to have a very good marketing and selling skills, because here in USA, like you will not just be like learning to like, you'll also have to literally sell yourself with your resume. Like you would have to apply to thousands of companies for internship or co-op opportunities or full time. Some people would be lucky, they again that one interview or one company, if they would apply, they could get a job. But every person's journey timelines of success are really different. Third thing, reach out to your seniors from your undergrad college now, and then try to build a strong connections with them, because like those are the people who would be working, and they could actually refer you if you have some good connections with and relationships with your seniors. Fourth thing I want you to do is like having a good LinkedIn profile from now itself. Start adding your projects, undergrad projects, start adding those coursework, start building like a good LinkedIn header, a good LinkedIn profile from now itself, and try to reach out to as many people from your university or who are already studying there. So that way, like you can start to like chat with them on LinkedIn, try to get your questions answered with them. So like if you want to write anything specific SOP, LOR, they could guide you what are the professors who would be working under. And that way like it could help you in like creating a long term benefits as well when it comes to connecting with the seniors from the universities and having a good LinkedIn profile. Fifth and the fourth most thing is like power of prayers. This phase is like more praying to God, praying to like all the praying to whomsoever, like you'll be praying every day, because most of the time it's like 80% hard work and 20% grace. uh no matter like how hard you like do prepare for it, if you don't have grace, you will see that in your visa interview, if anything god forbid happens to you. But obviously like these are the things which you should keep in mind. I went to like a lot of roller coaster rides before coming to USA, during my undergrad college, even after coming to USA, and my journey has something like teached me a lot. And when I look back at those days, I always have like a story to tell to people, and I hope like from this particular journey, this particular story, you will get some at least 1% of wisdom. And I always like to contribute like at least 0.01% to everyone's success. And I hope this, through this long hour long recording or this particular session, you will get to learn many things. And I'm always approachable on my LinkedIn, so feel free to connect with me on my LinkedIn. And I should also be thanking you, Rohan, and your team for giving me this wonderful opportunity. So, once again, like a big round of applause to you and your team for creating not just only this platform, but like an entire ecosystem for students where they could actually get feedbacks from seniors straight away. It's not easy to connect with everyone through one specific, and streamlining this thing into a platform is like really one heck of a task. So, many kudos to you guys as well for creating such wonderful platform.